Hi, Julia. Good morning. Do you have everything you need today?
Unmute. Yeah, I think so. I just have
Okay.
the script and the agenda, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, we'll see how I do.
Okay. Jesse is not going to be here either, so
Okay. Are you going to run us through the Solstice Canyon thing?
yeah, I'll
Okay.
do. I'll provide the
Yeah,
updates.
there's
Yeah.
also a question about that thing from regarding that stained glass thing. Were you on that thread? That guy wants to.
I'm aware of it. I think Jesse reached out to the artist. And I can ask him for an update on that when
Yeah,
he
like,
back.
do we have to add that to agenda somewhere?
Yeah, it'll probably come back to the commission next month.
Okay. Okay, so we don't have to do anything about it today.
Right.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. Also, are we going to be able to are we going to continue having virtual meetings?
Yes, for the foreseeable future.
Thank you. So much better for me.
Hi, Peter. Good morning.
Morning, Peter.
You're on mute. There we
Once
go.
again, good morning, Kristen. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning.
It was good to see both of you at the poetry event. Thanks
Oh,
for
yeah, it was so
coming.
lovely. I'm sorry I couldn't stay longer, but it was, of course, it's like one of those days where everything, happens at the same day, like really. So I had to stick two events in a very small, short time because it
Yeah.
was graduation too. Everyone was graduating.
It was graduate. Has everyone now graduated, or
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much like Pepperdine. Most of the university, it's a whole big graduating event. So
I went to one of those once. Is at Pepperdine? Is the local school, the high school, graduating at this point?
not yet. I think they're in June, first part of June.
Yeah, I think there's the seventh or eighth. I want to
Sixth or, huh?
the seventh or eighth. I want to say.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So we're kind of late as most schools. I think a lot of schools are earlier than Malibu or Malibu, Santa Monica. I don't know. I don't know.
Schools I went to all graduated people in early June, so
Yeah.
I guess that's old fashioned.
Yeah. It would be nice if people coordinated like spring break. Spring break lasts for like 6 weeks for me.
At least.
Everyone is on a completely different, schedule. So it's like,
It's amazing about spring break. As we used to travel all the time, and you'd be between airports, or you go to airport A on the way to B, and you'd get into A, and there would be people passed out on the floor, and literally kids just passed out on the floor, and then there would be people throwing things around the room, frisbees, Nerf balls. And there was something kind of charming about doing that in an airport. On the other hand, it was also kind of gross.
those kids.
Have you ever flown on American Airlines on Halloween? Well, the only good thing about American Airlines is on a Halloween, all the employees are in costume. Most of them are cats, but
Yeah,
the people wandering around in the planes are in costume. The people behind the counter are in costume, and it's just really festive and happy. Also, when on Christmas Day, if you happen to fly that day, they're all wearing Santa hats.
Oh, that's so nice. I try not to fly on those days.
That's the only thing about American Airlines then. I just flew American Airlines. It was, as usual, a total disaster.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about 20 years ago. Oh. When American Airlines actually worked. It was the only way to get places.
Yeah.
On one airline.
You've been recently looking at, Graham, you were flying on American in your last trip?
Yeah, I flew to London on American.
Oh, God.
Okay, not good. I'm going to London too.
Yeah, not good at all. I mean, then we flew for. Then I was on the way. I had to go to London first, then to Spain. Then I flew Iberia to Spain from London, which was much better.
Okay.
And then I flew Iberia from Madrid nonstop back here, which was good.
Oh, good to know.
So, but American Airlines is not not my favorite airline.
Yeah.
So when are you going to London?
In August.
Aha,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the UK, just a general UK,
Right, yeah.
which I will actually be out on that for that meeting. August. So
Make a note.
by the way,
Make a note.
by the way.
Good morning, Barry.
Morning, Barry.
Morning. Well, you can get started now that we have a quorum.
Okay.
If you're
Okay.
ready.
Barry's talking, but we're not hearing him.
Barry, unmute.
Yep, he's on mute.
Yeah.
There we
Can you
go.
hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
yep, we
Good.
can.
Okay, good.
Okay. So I guess Lottie's out and I have to read this stuff for
Yes.
everybody. So here we go. Just the script first, right, Kristen? Okay. I would like to call to order the Malibu Arts Commission regular meeting of May 24th, 2022. This meeting is being held by teleconference due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we appreciate everyone's patience as we navigate the Zoom meeting process. Commissioners and city staff are participating from remote locations, and all votes will be taken by roll call. Members of the public can participate in the meeting or watch it by going to malibucity.org/virtual meeting. At this screen, you can click on the tab to either just watch the meeting or to sign up to speak on particular items. Those who wish to speak during the meeting should follow the instructions at malibucity.org/virtual meeting. Please make sure you visit malibucity.org/virtual meeting early to sign up to speak and download the Zoom application. The recording secretary will call on those who have signed up to speak when the item is called, so you must be present in the Zoom meeting to be recognized. Commissioners, if you have comments to make during this meeting, please raise your hand and I will call on you in turn so we can make our discussion clear for the record and the public. Okay. We'll go back to the very top. Okay. So now as we have the roll call?
Yes. Vice Chair Holland,
Here.
Commissioner Haldeman,
Here?
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
ex officio Clifford.
Yeah.
Chair Sharon and Commissioner Lawrence are absent.
Okay. So now the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag
of the United States of America and to the
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, with
indivisible,
liberty and justice,
and liberty and justice
liberty
for
and justice for all.
Just for all.
Okay, great. Awesome.
Okay.
And now the City of Malibu vision statement.
Malibu is a unique land and marine environment and a residential community whose citizens have historically evidenced a commitment to sacrifice urban and suburban conveniences in order to protect that environment and lifestyle and to preserve unaltered natural resources and rural characteristics. The people of Malibu are responsible custodians of the area's natural resources for present and future generations.
Okay, thank you. Now we have the approval of this current agenda. So does anyone? I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay.
That was Vice Chair Holland with the motion and Commissioner Jones with the second. Roll call vote. Vice Chair Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Haldeman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, great. So now we are at report on posting of agenda. We have any ceremonial presentations? None. Yes.
Vice Chair Holland, can you
Yes.
please let Brittany report on the posting?
Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Yes, that she does.
The agenda was posted on May 19, 2022.
Thank you. Okay. So we say no ceremonial presentations, but do we have any visitors today? Do we do that, Kristen?
We do, yes, we do have 2 people signed up for public speakers. So first public speaker we have is Barbara Brudeling. Barbara.
Can I prep this a little bit before Barbara speaks? I had requested that we put on the agenda the business art thing that Peter and I have been working on, which is now called ArtShare, which is a great name. And somehow it did not get on the agenda, but I didn't want to pass another month. So I asked both Barbara and who's the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and Chris, who is the, I don't know, Supreme Commander of the
Allied
Chamber of
Forces.
Commerce, to come and use their minutes to explain what's going on so that the commission has a better idea. So if we give them a little bit of latitude and I think, I'm not sure if we can ask them questions under this format, but it's a kind of a stopgap so that we don't lose another month in what we're doing. So with that prep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll turn it over back to the chair to call on the public speakers. You're the
Barbara,
chair.
if you're, Barbara,
Yes.
if you're ready to address the commission, I can go ahead and start your time.
Thank you. Hi, Brittany, by the way. Hi, everyone. Love seeing all the great things you guys are doing. And it's a wonderful honor to be here. We've been working with Barry with the thought of helping get, I'm so sorry. I gotta.
Can the dog have 3 minutes?
We've been working on the new ArtShare program, which would be, we have it on, I'm sorry, I thought I was going to be able to share a screen that shows our Arts Festival website. And we also have a section on there called the ArtShare program. And in that part of the website, we've listed artists, various artists who would like to have their artwork on commission in different stores and restaurants, retail stores. And so the artwork that's available to be showcased for commission is on the website. And I wish I could show you. So we will be giving, I'm sorry, Gary?
Maybe Kristen can put it up. And I was trying to send her the website
You got the
address.
link? It's MalibuArtsFestival.org. You just type that in, it will, that's it. Malibu Arts, plural, Arts Festival. And we're serving all different aspects of the arts, of course, like the Arts Festival does. But in the one upper corner, it says Art Share Program. So what we plan on doing is visiting every store in Malibu on foot to support this and leaving a little card brochure about how they can see the artwork and then contact the artist directly. We are doing this as a service and may consider charging the artist a little bit because we do have we do need to pay for our literature that we hand out at any promotions that we're doing. We're working with the Malibu Times to make sure that everyone finds out about this. And this will be an ongoing permanent project to support the artists in the stores in Malibu. And that's about all I have to say. If we can't get that up, Chris, do you have something to add? You have to see it. It's really, it looks
It's
great.
nice. I have it up on my screen.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's
I have
really
2 more artists. Eamon and also Jackie Robbins is excited. She's
Okay,
going to
perfect.
be on there. And, you know, anybody who wants to have their work on commission, this is open. So
Kristen, can
anyway.
you bring it up on the shared screen? Is that possible?
I would, since this is public comment, unfortunately, we just kind of got to keep things tight. So if the commission wants to look at that, just like Vice Chair Holland is doing on your own, we can bring an item back if you want.
So again, you just go to MalibuArtsFestival.org. And then if you want to be on the site, just contact me, CEO@Malibu.org, and I will post you and talk to you about the work that you can put on there.
Great.
Brittany, do you want to call our next public speaker?
Oh, yeah, Brittany. Yes.
Chris Weisner, would you like to speak?
Sure. Hi, guys. This is Chris with the Malibu Chamber of Commerce. And just to correct Barry, I am not the Supreme Commander. So let the minutes reflect that. I'm just a president chairman. But yes, we've been talking to Barry for quite a few months about this. And it kind of started as one thing, but it's beautiful that it's morphing into something even bigger, which is the Malibu Art Share program. And I know Barbara explained a lot of it there and where we're kind of headed. And what we really believe could happen is, one, we could definitely help businesses find artists that are procured, curated between both parties here. 2, we can also help market artists and bring them a lot of business. And we did something similar a few years ago, post Woolsey fire. It was called #ShopMalibu. And that campaign saved over $100,000 in group marketing and brought a lot of business to retail. There might be an opportunity to do something similar with this that we might be able to call #MalibuArts. And, you know, I think there's a few different layers or legs, if you will, to this program. And it's going to start with the most simple thing. Let's get some art and businesses and, you know, work on that. But from there, we can bring a lot more. So for now, you know, all I can say is it's a work in progress. We're making progress. And we just got our arts committee booted up a few months ago. So we have a lot more help now. And it's been wonderful to have Barry involved in attending our meetings. And we definitely plan to finalize this program and roll it out. So that's everything I have to say today. And thank you, guys.
Just one thing, our Instagram account that Chris has built has over.
Uh-oh.
Whoop.
Lost her.
Lost her. Looks like she's muted again. There we go.
Here I am. Yeah. It gets over 12,000 views on our Instagram account, which is just such a wonderful way to reach out, you know, and let everybody know. So I just want you to know we have that. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Amazing. Nice job, Barry.
Thanks.
Okay, is that it for that?
I'd just like to say that I think this is such a good thing. And am I on? Okay, it's such a good thing. And I'm sure we're going to have some problems and we may even have some complaints, but I'd like to keep pushing forward with this as best we can, because I think it's a real win-win. And we're going to find that some merchants are going to view this as free art, and we're going to have to make sure they rotate it. In other words, we don't want something up there for a year. And the more we can rotate it and the more pictures just enter the community, the richer we are.
Yeah. Well, great job. I think you guys for getting that started and going. I think that's the hard part, right? Now, just have
That's
to.
99% Barry.
Yeah.
Well, I took a lot of advice from Peter, so.
That's awesome. Okay. Okay. Now are we at the commission ad hoc committee reports? Okay. So arts and education.
All right, I'll just do can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. I just have a quick update regarding the arts and education. We had a Calling All Creatures at Poetry Summit a couple weeks ago now. And out of the arts and education program, we did have 8 students who read poetry, original work, which was great. They work with Ricardo Means Ybarra and Jolene Regan at the various schools, and were able to get on stage and read their work. And then we also showcased 9 high school student photographers at the show. They had their work up on display. So just kind of getting students involved in programs and those sorts of things are just part of the goal of the arts and education program.
Yeah, congratulations, Kristen. It was a great event. I'm sorry I couldn't be there the entire time, but I saved through all the kids and I thought it was great. And I thought Anne did a wonderful job, and also incorporating music with Eduardo, and it was really great and really nice turnout. Yeah. And I think it's a good opportunity for people to see also what we have going on in the gallery too. So that's a double good thing. And as for that, by the way, did Fireballs give you anything about our schedule that we had written out?
Yes, we are going to bring the art exhibition schedule to the June meeting.
Okay, all right. All right, so just on a quick update for this, the art exhibition ad hoc, we're getting artists, and Kristen's put together her, or putting together artwork, right, from some that's submitted, and we won't know until it's closed on May 31st, and I guess it's looking good, yeah? We're getting a lot of people. So I haven't had a chance to go through it all, but and then what we wanted to do later is Fireball and I were together to talk about putting it, this is our suggestion for the regular every year schedule, so that we know way ahead of time what's coming up, and that we can, take suggestions and try to get all of us to, bring in the artist, know which is the group shows and which is a single show. But the last one was super awesome. I thought the turnout was good, and the artists were really amazing, and it was great. So I think that's all I have.
Julia,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question, a couple of things? First of all, I think you guys did an incredible job on the exhibit, and it looked really like any good gallery that you would go into, with the stenciling of the artist names and the way it was presented. And I thought it was really well done. And
Yeah,
I had a couple of questions. One is, given that the next one starts on June 25th, are you going to go dark from May 31st to June 25th? Or I'm just wondering if you want to extend it a couple of weeks so that it's just not blank walls.
Well, that's been my question too, about that too. Like, do we have to just be dark for that month? But
Yeah.
I think that has to do with the staff and their feeling how they can get things up, and their timeline.
Because it would seem
I
that
like to have it like poosh, next day.
Yeah.
but
I would think it would take like about a week, give yourself a week to hang the show. Kristen, what is that? It would seem to me that we shouldn't be dark at all if we're trying to establish some kind of a ongoing presence.
So we typically give artists about a week's time frame to pick up their artwork. So
right.
Next week we plan, this is just kind of the schedule. Next week we'll plan to take it down and then store it here in our office, and then give artists a week to pick it up. And then in the meantime, we just kind of prep the space if we need to clean anything or take stickers off the walls and, prepare the paint or whatever. So that's kind of the in between. If
can we help in any way to shorten that period of time? Just so, because I think that what you want to do is just encourage people to know the gallery's there and keep it open as much as you can for whatever artists are there, you know?
I do agree with that. I can also make myself available, like on that Friday when I came by. I'm happy to help in any way like that.
So
Let's say we had a week to do the install.
Yeah,
Install usually is done in less than 24 hours, but let's just say we took a week. Why not have the artists who need to pick up their works, pick them up during the install? It's a very simple thing, and let's keep them up as long as possible. So if we need 5 days to do the install, I'm going to accept that. But I don't see why we're taking down art for pickup and leaving the gallery vacant. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
if the ad hoc wants to consider that for the next show, I think we can. Unfortunately, we have agreements in place. And if we were to extend it, we'd have to do an amendment to those agreements, which has to go. And I,
who are those agreements with?
the artists,
Oh, you know, I'm sure the artists would be happy to keep their stuff up.
What if we, and they're 5 artists, right?
Yeah,
So each of them could simply sign an agreement that says, I will be happy to have my pictures up through the 20th of June, whatever the date is. That's an email.
yeah.
we actually need a signed. I have to put together an amendment that goes through the city attorney's office. And I mean, it's not difficult. It just takes time. So
Yeah.
Well, I think it's
Kristen,
a tragedy not to have pictures on the wall.
Yeah, I think, Kristen, if you, I would be glad to volunteer to write a quick amendment and then you could look at it and send it to the city attorney if you want, if that would help you at all. Because I think the artists would all agree. And we don't want to, look, I know everybody's overworked. I think we have to keep the main purpose in mind, which is to get that to be a working gallery that people know is there. And I think it makes sense to keep it up longer. And one other thing I might recommend, or 2 other things, and then we can get back to this date, so we do it all at once, is I think that any of the artists would be willing to sit there on a Saturday afternoon if it were possible to allow the gallery to be open then. Now, I know there's security problems with the city, so I'm not sure if that can work. But it seems to me that any real gallery is open on the weekend, at least on Saturdays, and to not have that open because it's only open from I guess 8 or 8:30 to 5:30 weekdays, and that's kind of tough for people who are working. And I think that artists would volunteer. I mean, in collaborative galleries, that's what happens. They all volunteer to sit there to answer any questions and keep an eye on things. That's number one. Number two, I would suggest that there be small signage during the week upstairs to say Malibu Gallery is downstairs. And also, as you walk into the gallery on the first floor, some little sign, because there were great signs when we drove in for the opening, but some little sign as you walked in the door, say gallery in this direction, just so you start imprinting that in the mind of people and they take a look at it. Just a little more signage.
That's good.
So,
is that something you could accomplish, Kristen, without too much trouble? Like a
I
permanent
think that's something that both you and Fireball have brought up some signage on the outside. So
yeah, we were talking about really it'd be nice to figure out, and I don't know how we go about that, but have like a permanent sign on the outside of the wall. There's nothing there, you know, to say this is the Malibu Art Gallery.
Well, and even before that, you could use the kind of sawhorse approach that they did for the last exhibit, which I thought was effective. I mean, it wasn't the most artistic in the world, but it was fine, did what it was supposed to do.
Is
So
that
that was just a thought.
Yeah, that's on our goal list to get accomplished sooner rather than later. So it's definitely something we've talked about and something we want to do in this next, like before the next one possibly.
yeah?
And how about it?
June? I mean, before, it would be nice to have before June.
We can put something up temporarily if we want to.
Great.
Kind of permanent stuff in the next
Yeah.
weeks.
What is your thought about having, or who would we talk to at the city about having limited hours on Saturday?
As you mentioned, I think it's just a matter of finding staff to work, and that's something maybe in our department we can work on. If there's, you know, 1 or 2 Saturdays that the commission wants to pick or the ad hoc wants to pick out for the next one for the summer months, we can probably accomplish that, no problem.
Okay.
Great. And how about extending this particular exhibit? So we have art on the walls up until, say, the week before when you hang the show and do that. Because I agree with Peter, you can, well, assuming you were doing nothing else, you could hang a show in a day.
Let me work on that, because I do have to make sure our insurance can be extended.
Okay,
I do have an amendment to the agreement, kind of
Great.
a format. So
great.
thank you, Commissioner Haldeman. I think I have that taken care of. Let me see what I can do. I'm working on the poetry anthology, which is taking up a lot of time right now. So let me see if we can.
Okay, that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
And
And
however
also,
we can help, we will.
I will make myself available to help just to strike it and take that off the wall. I will make myself available.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can please call, and we could probably find other volunteers.
Yeah, on a weekend, I could do it. And
Yeah, so could I.
Julia,
I'm sorry, Peter.
Julia, I'd just like to touch on institutional standards. Malibu is an institution, obviously, it's municipal government. The institutional standards, now there are exceptions, which I think, like Crystal Bridges, I think is open 7 days a week, but that's unusual, is that institutions are open Tuesday through Sunday. Some close at 5:30. There are typically late nights, which are at the Metropolitan Museum in New York, for example. They have food and wine until 9 o'clock at night. So we're way out of skew with the institutional.
Which is why we need our art center.
But what I wanted to say is, I really appreciate the steps we're taking to try to come in compliance with that. And I understand they're going to be baby steps, but one thing leads to another. And Kristen, we're incredibly grateful for anything you can do. We are pushing this gallery in a way that has not been pushed before. I realize that it takes more time and it's a pain in the butt in many respects, but I think it's a good thing. And we really appreciate your efforts and Jesse's efforts in moving this forward.
But I know I could get volunteers if I said, "Hey, we're doing a change out of gallery. I know I could get 3 or 4 hands to come in. Boom, you know, easily. So if that's helpful, I'd really like to do that.
We also have a particularly beautiful show up right now, which I don't know how many thousands of shows I've been to. It had things in it that were new to me, and that was absolutely thrilling. It also had pictures that were really strong, and that was absolutely thrilling. I think this is the best multi-artist show we've ever done.
Mm.
And that's no small thing. So the longer people get to see it, and people do show up. When you were there, Fireball and I were looking at the space, and people came in, they asked questions, they looked at the pictures. That's never happened before in my experience. This is a good thing.
Yeah, they're very powerful, beautiful work. So we're hoping for that. When we, if we can all just keep posting it out. I actually had people come because I had put it on so many Facebook pages, and people came like, oh my God, I had to actually stay because people were coming to see it. So we just need to get it out, and the more high end we can make it, I think the more traffic we can get. So that's super. Thank you everybody for that. So, oops, sorry. Business and community hours.
Well, I think that we've now, maybe during this particular time, we can just put up that website just to take a quick look at it. Is that possible, Kristen, to share the screen during my period? Rather, and I think it's. Did you take down I think it's MalibuArt.org, I think.
Malibu Arts Festival.
Okay. And then you can just take a quick look. I think it's a work in progress, and basically the position that I think we should take is we generate the project, we help in any way we can, but it's really the baby of the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, they have to do it the way they're comfortable with it, but I've been on a couple of meetings to just help them a little bit. Okay, so that's the website. There are a couple of photographers on it, including my wife, which I just sent out as a prototype, so we get it going. But if you push on like you take Carla, for example, and you push on her thing, or those are some of Maureen's pictures, you can see. So I think you can pick them, assuming you want to rent something or something like that. And it's not even a rent, it's for free. So it's taken a little while, but they now have their arts commission put together, and they're working on things. And this is one of them, which I'm very happy to. It took a long time, but it's because they were in transition. But it's a very good thing to do. And theoretically, because they're merging with the Palisades, theoretically, we could, I don't know, put this on a Palisades thing if they were interested, and just spread the idea about the gallery and then the sharing of business artists and all that stuff. So I think the next thing that has to happen is probably a call for artists that are somewhat curated for the site. So, but it's up and running. So now it just has to be populated and get going. So that's one part. And then I talked about the other comments that I had about extending the show and having somebody on a Saturday or something. And I think, even the artists would be happy to do it, or I'd sit on a Saturday for a few hours if necessary to keep the gallery open.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Unless, Peter, you have something to add?
Yes, I do, about the gallery. When Fireball and I walked through there, I said the first thing we need to do to professionalize this and make everybody happy is to put in some television cameras. And in fact, we found a television camera in the gallery. And my question is that television camera operational?
What was it for, the TV camera?
TV camera, I assume, is for basic security.
Oh,
it's one of those things in the ceiling with the globe on the bottom.
Yeah.
And my question is it operational? And does it record for 30 days or whatever?
It is operational and it is used for security. I don't know the retention, but 30 days sounds correct.
Okay. And do those cameras extend into the auditorium?
I do not believe they do. I think it's just the hallways of City Hall.
It's just the hallways of City Hall. Would it make sense, is there's just the one camera to install a second camera, and would that start to solve some of the security questions?
Well, you should see what the radius of the camera is. It might take the whole room into effect. I don't know.
It might, but if we had one at the other end of the gallery, we would definitely cover it. And
Great.
that begins to make everybody happier.
Great. I have a quick question, Barry and Peter. Will the chamber be the ones doing the call to artists?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think they want to do that. But I think we can certainly help. And I think maybe
Partner with them.
Julia and Peter and I can talk to the chamber and help them in any way we can. Because I know you have a lot of connections with artists, Julia, and we have some, and Peter has some, and so we could all help in any way we can.
Great job, everyone.
So it's clear we haven't forgotten the second phase of this, which is if this is successful, that we would hope to contact the real estate agents
Right.
and to start to get art in homes that are for sale. And that hopefully some of these pictures might be sold with the house.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of downsides in that, which we don't have with the merchants, which is most homes have a lot of light. So we have a fading issue, but that's not an insurmountable issue. Many homes have ultraviolet protection, as does City Hall. But we can also get ultraviolet glass and make that available if we can standardize the frames. So.
Yeah, and you know, one thing, Peter, actually, now that you mention it, you know, the museum in Los Angeles used to have an art share program where you could actually rent a work of art from the museum for a period of months, and maybe eventually, and I'm saying this to Barbara, maybe eventually this could grow into where people could actually get art in their houses, and they have it on consignment for maybe, you know, 6 months, and then if they want to buy it, they can. If they don't, they return it. But that's down the line, but at least it would get art out. And the museum used to do that, I know.
This was also done at the Museum of Modern Art in New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for your expertise, for sure.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to mention is, just for everybody's edification, my wife and I went to the Banksy exhibition, and if you don't know about it, it's in Culver City.
I went.
It's terrific, and especially if you can get a guide with you that make the pictures really come alive. And it's just a great, fascinating exhibit. And Culver City, I keep saying we need to connect with, because they're doing a lot of incredible art things. And I know that Lottie has her office in Culver City, and she talked to some of the people, I think. But we ought to see if
I
we
think
can.
that was a private exhibition, though. It had nothing to do with the city or even Banksy, really. I mean, just.
Yeah, you're probably right. But they're doing
It was-
other stuff that's really interesting. You
But
know?
it was pretty amazing, yeah.
Oh, man, it was great.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to social media, so we don't have Fireball, but do you have anything, Kristen?
I do not.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So moving on to the consent calendar. And I think here we just need to approve the consent calendar, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Awesome.
That was Vice Chair Holland with the motion and Commissioner Jones with the second. Roll call vote, Vice Chair Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Haldeman,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. Great. Okay, now we're at old business, right? Malibu Art Center.
So this item is just being brought back to the commission, just for further discussion. And the commission reviewed the vision statements and in March, so that it's been a little while. And also John Johansson came in and presented his Sycamore Village property project. And Vice Chair Holland, did you see the model?
Yes, I did. I went to see the model. Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, it wasn't, it really took in, did anyone else see it? No, have a chance? I mean, it's just the beginning, but what was impressive about it was how much thought they had put into that. And it was really just developing that area, not as an art center exactly, but it definitely could be adjusted depending on how we wanted it. But it was really, I thought it was super informative. And the biggest question Ed Niles had, and I don't know if that ever got answered, was who owns that, the chili site, and what would we have to do? Like it wasn't even clear if that chili cook-off site was available for that. But yeah, I think it's worthwhile to talk to him, to Ed Niles, just because he's done so much research into it. About, of course, he's super what am I trying to say? His architecture is super modern, and that's his thing. I don't know what the city wants that, or what fits. If we don't really we're not like Santa Barbara, who has a specific style, but he was very good to. I would suggest anyone going up there and talking to him, or just seeing what he has, or what he's done. Peter?
I've been doing some research. One is we have an auditorium, which I've now inspected with Fireball. I'm sorry he's not here, which has many assets. It has a number of huge design flaws, but is fundamentally a usable space from our point of view. The audio board, which is in the center of it, prime seating, is a very good audio board, but today that audio board would be shrunk dramatically and could be moved, for example, into the projection booth upstairs. So the equipment gets smaller and the quality goes up. We could also be putting in a much larger screen that could go up and down. So relatively minor renovations to that space would make it infinitely more workable. It is also very workable as an adjunct to the existing gallery, which is really a matter of installing lighting and getting the walls so that they work. And putting in some more television cameras. If we were to do all of that, if we were to expand the gallery, it would have to be open to the public, obviously. I then further researched what went on at Irvine, at UC Irvine. UC Irvine has probably the best institutional theater I've ever seen. And I was given a tour of that theater. Superb fly space. I mean, it's a Broadway level theater. In other words, in Malibu, there are two sets of curtains, which are very high quality. The curtains go this way. In Irvine, they go this way up into the fly space. And the coordinating designer for Irvine was Maya Lin, whom I happen to know. Maya Lin designed the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington. I hope you've all been to it. I've been twice. It's superb. But she's designed many, many other things. She is not an architect. She also classifies herself as a sculptor. So architects sign off on her designs. I would like to make a proposal for to present to the Malibu government that the city of Malibu hire Maya Lin as a consultant and get an opinion as to what can be done and what might work. Because we are not dealing with this on a professional level at the moment. We're dealing with a real estate developer. It's ridiculous. So my sense, and if you don't want Maya Lin, or if you want another, I mean, we can get the architects who did the drawing center at the DeMille complex in Houston. I was talking to someone at Irvine at the Getty the other night, and they are trying very hard to increase their space, and they want to use that architect. We've had discussions about having a smaller space that would be a satellite to additional museums. And this was an idea that came up with MoCA, 3 or 4 years ago. We did nothing about it, but other municipalities did. And there were 2 satellite galleries that MoCA supported, and they've just disposed of one of them. And they got very tired of paying the overhead of the gallery, which is, it's all the usual stuff. It's security, it's temperature control, it's someone to sit behind a desk. Producing the curators, all of that was easy. But if we're going to have a satellite gallery, I think that we would have to take care of those costs. They would be happy to move the art around. They'd be happy to produce the curators. But I don't think any institution is just going to pick up the entire tab. So this is something we have to factor in as we continue to consult with each other as to how this might work. There is also an additional space other than the chili cookout space, which is the Supercare Drugs space. Supercare Drugs is owned by the town of Malibu, and it is leased. The advantages of Supercare Drugs is, number 1, it's small. 2, it's eminently renovatable. 3, it has parking. And 4, most importantly, it is adjacent to Legacy Park, which makes sense in terms of a cultural institution. If it were to be demolished and reconfigured as a first-class piece of architecture, it's right on the road. It would be a very good place to do that, and it's small, so it is feasible. So that's the information I have.
Thank you for that, Peter. And then our next step in this is still a community survey. Isn't that correct?
Right.
So I think we need to make that baby step. Otherwise, we're just not going to make any steps.
Isn't the city doing the survey?
We were going to coordinate it, right?
Yeah.
There's been discussion about talking about all the open spaces, because there's many different people that want all sorts of different things on all of our vacant lands. So I think that's at the council level, and they're discussing those items. So it might be an art survey, it might be a survey that encompasses many different things. So I think that's something that they're still trying to determine.
Okay, we're still shooting in the dark. For any of these activities, there are actual professionals in these fields who've done it before, in many cases multiple times, whether we're building a library, a theater, an art gallery complex, a music complex, whatever it is. And until we have some actual information as to what's feasible, it seems to me that we're just whistling in the wind, which may be the intent of all of this.
I hope. Barry?
Well, I think that we need to start taking a pulse of what people want. And Peter, is it your thought that we need an expert to have to help craft the survey, or is it we start with a simple survey? About 2 meetings ago, there was a request for questions for a survey, and I think I was the only one who was sending questions. And I think that we should start seriously getting together our questions, and then either get a surveyor or talk to somebody in the city who does this, because they did that with Bluffs Park, as I recall, right? And so it's mechanics are there. There's maybe somebody there who can help us do it and help us, because I think we just need to start with, if the 3/4 of the city says we don't want an art center, or we want something very small, we need to know that before we go too much further, because we're just whistling in the wind, and sitting in the dark, as you say. So I think we really have to focus on the survey and how we get to that point. And maybe we put in questions now and discuss it in earnest next time as to how we focus on getting the survey done. So that would be my thought.
Kristen, is there, can we go out and do our own survey? Do we have to just wait until the council does there? Can we just, as a commission, we're going out about specifically art center, that's it? Yes, no, this would have, can we do that on our own?
I think it's a good idea to put some questions together and kind of get a plan in order. And if maybe we'll be okay to put it out because no one else is ready. So that could be an option too.
Is this something we should do at here, or do we need to put another ad hoc together, or?
That's up to the commission to decide. Putting an ad hoc together has its good and its bad, right? Because you have 2 people focused on it. So it would that's not a bad idea.
Does everyone think we can just do it here at the meeting, or?
What I would think is, why don't we start by, since I was the only one who wrote questions, circulating to the committee the questions to trigger other questions, and then we list them all for the next meeting and discuss it as a group, and then we figure out if we have to break out and have somebody do it specifically.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Could we start by getting copies of what was done with Bluffs Park, that survey?
Can we create a Google Doc or something that we can all just put our boom, boom, boom questions in?
Yeah.
Does everyone know how to do that?
No.
I would suggest sending them to staff.
Okay, just sending them to staff. Okay.
All right. I think the primary first question that I would ask is, are you a resident of Malibu?
Mm-hmm.
That's one that wasn't on my list.
It's right on the top of mine. I never sent it in because there was no interest. But one of the things that I think is very important is that people who live in Malibu get, or vote in Malibu, or pay taxes in Malibu, that they get weighted more heavily than someone who lives in, for example, Pacific Palisades, who has a friend in Malibu and, wrote in.
Full-time resident.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's so many people who just live part-time in Malibu or have a second home here and aren't really,
Well, if they have a second home, I think it's fine for them to do this, but I think they should state that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Full or part-time resident,
So can we put this as an agenda item for next time, and in the interim, everybody send in their questions, and mine are I think I shot my wad, so maybe you can circulate them to generate some thoughts that people have
Yeah.
on that, and then maybe we figure out how we can, and maybe Kristen, you can, if it's possible, just do a little research on how we would get a survey out. You know, what will we have to do, and do we have the authority to do it, and would Malibu mail it, or I'm not sure how we did it last time. I think it was online. I can't remember. So, yeah, so that would, just, what do we need to do to implement it, and do we need city council approval?
Can we put that on the agenda, Kristen? How do we do that? Just
Yeah.
right now?
We'll add it to the agenda.
Is that we'll review the questions, that we're assuming that we will have a bunch of questions already by that time.
Well, could we have a deadline for the questions so that Kristen or some other staff, a member of the city staff, compiles it so everybody can just see it? In other words, could it be done by, let's say, the Tuesday before the meeting so everybody had time? And perhaps there should also be a rough draft if possible, so everyone could see what the questions were. There may be some people who are asking, there may be some questions that are asked by five board members.
That would be good to know. That would be good to know.
Unfortunately, due to the Brown Act, we can't share anything in between meetings amongst commissions, because this is an agenda item. So the first time you would be able to see it was at a meeting as an attachment to an agenda item.
Okay, let's follow the law.
All right, great.
Hey, Kristen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, because my internet's been coming and going, so I'm not sure whether I'm being heard or not. I mean, I can tell when I'm not on because it says your internet is out.
We hear you, Graham.
Okay. Anyway, I think that's a good idea. I personally would like to see whatever questions exist at the moment, just as a starter, like Barry said. I mean, Barry's questions, I guess.
Yeah.
So, Kristen,
can you send those out to us, Kristen, and with a reminder that we have a date to contribute more, like a deadline. Can we give ourselves a deadline?
Sure, I'll send you the link to the agenda item on March 22nd. That's where Commissioner Haldeman's questions were added.
Oh, great.
So, Kristen, as I understand the Brown Act, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to violate it. If I had a list of questions, I could send that list to one board member. Is that correct?
That is correct.
If that board member or that commissioner said, this is great, here's my list, and that board member and I combined the list, could we send it to you for dissemination?
At the meeting, yes.
At the meeting, but not before the meeting.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, so Kristen, you can send out just that portion of the agenda of the minutes of the March meeting that everybody could see at least the questions that I raised without a problem, because that's already public record and all that stuff. Okay, that would be helpful. That would be helpful.
Do you have a date for us to deadline?
June 15th would be great. Just middle of the month.
June 13th.
Okay. 15th or 13th?
1/5/15.
Oh, okay. Deadline. Thank you. Okay. Shall we go on? Do we need to approve anything or? Okay. Great. So next is Solstice Canyon Creek Beautification Project.
Right. This one's a good one.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone had an opportunity to read the staff report, but there's quite a few kind of elements to this project. This project is being led by the California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, and they are replacing the bridge at Solstice Canyon Creek. So they're taking down the bridge, putting in a new one. And part of that project is some artwork that is coming before the commission today. So today we have kind of just an outline of what we're going to be discussing. So the commission after hearing this, we'll come up with some criteria, hopefully, of how to choose the artwork. And another part of it, we are on 2 different timelines. So the artwork must be on display in a public location from June 2023 until the bridge is done in 2026. So I'll get more into that as we move along. So the bridge replacement is here along Pacific Coast Highway, just so you can kind of get an idea of where we're talking about. Calamigos Beach Club is right there across the street from the beach. And then we just have a few homes on the other side. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with that location, but it just goes right under the underpass.
Very.
2 minutes from my house.
Oh, perfect.
Oh,
Jesse and I went down there and took some photos so you can kind of see what we're looking at. The current bridge, this is what it looks like. Just some more quick photos. And then this is on the other side, looking towards the ocean, obviously. So the artwork project, this is one timeline. They received a grant from the California Clean California Project, and their goal is just to beautify the space, educate the community, support artists, and create a cultural connection through art. And the artwork will be installed on the underpass. So on this part, they suggested placing the art on some kind of platform or something that's movable. So when it's stored, they can easily install it in the bridge. So that'll be done. It's very confusing. I'm sorry.
Yes, it is. Where do they want the art? Because there's a long tunnel and then there's those 2 things as you walk out. What, you know, I mean,
That's
what?
kind of up to the commission to decide. So this whole underpass is going to be demolished and it'll be a rectangle shape. So that'll be replaced.
But still a pass through from one side of the highway to the other.
Correct. And their goal is to, this is like where steelhead trout move from freshwater to saltwater. And so there will be some sort of construction where there'll be an easier pass for those endangered species to get from one side to the other.
oh, that's great. And also people
It's-
on that pathway. That's a public access.
So they're planning to expand that access. Right now, it's a little bit of a trek from the public access to get down there, but they're going to work on a project to make that easily accessible.
Kristen, isn't this going to be full of water when there's a storm?
It could be, yes, that is.
So isn't this really just a mural project? I mean, the only
Yes.
thing that makes sense here is a mural. And then a
Yeah,
tough
I think
one,
that's an
a
easier
tough
way to
one at that.
No, I
Yeah,
agree. Does the water flow there 365 days a year?
I do not know. I'm not positive.
Well,
I think it pretty well
Let's assume the water, just for the moment, let's assume the water flows on a very regular basis. We could conceivably make the space in the middle into what's called a rill, which is constantly flowing water through a garden. They're common in Spain, for example. And we could make the water flowing part of the design of the I want to use the word transfers. And then we could conceivably be dealing with an artist whose life's work is about water, as opposed to pretty pictures of dolphins. And we could make this into something really great. And so effectively, you would have a pathway in the center, assuming it's the center, that had water flowing through it in an organized way, as opposed to this haphazard drainage approach we have at the moment. And that the artist, and you would have effectively two sidewalks on either side of the water passage. And we could presumably have an artist insert sculpture elements in that water flow, or could insert other 3D pieces that might be very, very effective, as opposed to what everybody seems to want to get rid of. So I don't think we should just limit ourselves to murals until we have also explored the possibility of doing something in 3D.
Do we get a copy of their plans? Because I'm sure if they're in planning, they've taken a lot of this already into consideration. And
so one part of this is the art portion is paid for, it must be paid by 2023. And the bridge project will be done in 2026. So it's kind of strange that you have this art component that has to be done, 3 years before the bridge is done. So,
but would we be able to see we're just looking at the, thankfully you took pictures of the old one. Can we see the plans of what it's, potentially going to look like?
yeah, I can reach out to Caltrans and ask for those.
It would be very helpful to know, for example, how high it's going to be. And if you need a requirement to be able to drive an emergency vehicle through it.
A question. Maybe, because as I read the report, Kristen, what they're saying is we've got to exhibit whatever the art's going to be for 2 years or something before it's installed. And it seems to me that this kind of a tunnel, which is going to be weather punished, I think, because of the water flowing through it and it's so close to the ocean. And I can speak to being close to the ocean where everything just kind of slowly deteriorates and you have to revise it. That maybe the approach, and I like Peter's idea a lot, if it can be done in a way that it doesn't back up the drainage, because that's real important to drain off the mountains. But one question we might consider is doing stencil art on the sides, so that you could put up the stencil art in a place where you could see it and then install it. Just maybe it's because I just came off the Banksy exhibit, but it seems to me that would be a workable way that could be replaced if it got deteriorated, rather than because I don't see how a piece of art on the walls is going to withstand the nature and all that stuff, because it's all outside. But stencil art could be like Banksy did on the side of a building.
Yeah, Kristen, is your photograph, is that tile inside?
Yes, that is correct.
Do we know whether they plan to put tile inside the new rectangular one?
I think whatever the commission kind of your recommendation will determine kind of the side coating. So if you were to do panel,
and could we
be concrete.
Could we also explore whether the water should run down the middle or both sides or just one side? I mean,
that might already be engineered, but
the floor would have to be designed that way accordingly, obviously. But I mean, I don't know if we have any input on that.
Well, if it's part of the art, I think we do.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I brought it up, Peter.
And to follow Barry's approach, one thing we could do would be to, in a separate structure on the beach, we could put up a duplicate, make it of wood or whatever, and put up stencil art in there, which would in the end be converted into mosaic tile, and it could be figurative. We've all been to churches where the artwork is actually small tiles.
Well, there is a, I mean, I'm sure you're all aware, there is a tile art manufacturing company in Topanga. And
Yes.
they did the tile. We had the tile put on the outside of the fire station at
No way.
Heathercliff, not Heathercliff, at
Here, Selfridge or Point to.
Selfridge. Yeah. Well, I mean that the tile on the outside of the fire station at that location came from the guys in Topanga.
And we've
That's
used
amazing.
we've used them in our house, and they're really quite good.
They're
And
great.
maybe the one thing, Kristen, maybe we could have somebody from the whoever's doing this, Caltrans or whatever, come to the meeting, and we could ask them some questions. And they may not have all the answers, but then we would get a feel for it. They'd go back, get the answers, and come back to us. So because it's kind of hard to drop the parachute into the middle of this and we don't know anything.
I
You
know
know.
they were supposed to be here today, but had some
Oh.
schedule conflict, so I
Ah, okay.
apologize. Mhm.
Okay,
Hill
good.
surprise.
And
Yeah.
and as somebody said already, we need to see pictures, we need to see diagrams, we need plans. I mean, if they could come to the meeting with all that stuff, so we could look at the dimensions of everything, that would really help.
Yeah. I love the idea about the art tile. We could just have someone do that.
Yeah, that's a
It's-
great.
And I know the guy, I know the guys in Topanga quite well, because I was involved with that fire station thing and other projects with them. So if we want to contact them, I'd be happy to start that off.
You know, if you remember, those of you who remember the history of Malibu, the Ringes had a tile. They
Yeah.
made their own tiles, and one approach might be to look back at those tiles and maybe either duplicate them or do some modern day update of those tiles so there'd be some historic significance.
Yeah, the
Barry, I
guys,
think some of those tiles still exist and are available. I think they're around.
I had they had a friend who they rehab houses, and they rehabbed a house that was in Sarah Retreat, and they just happened to go up to the Sarah Retreat up there because they found about tiles, and the brothers or whoever operated opened a door, and there was tons of the tiles which they incorporated into the house. They were able to get them, and so I think if nothing else, we could look at the house if we could, and I can contact my friends and find out which house it was. But it's they are around, and so.
Kristen, would it satisfy the requirements if we did set up a maquette of what we're proposing and use stencil art instead of actual tiles? Because we would not be able to install the tiles until this has been constructed, excuse me. So would that satisfy whatever the regulation is for 2023?
Can that guy come next month to this? Can we ask that? That's who we should ask that question to.
Right.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
know,
Graham, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to point out that the guys in Topanga have also duplicated the Malibu tiles before.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So I'll contact them and let them know what we're thinking about, just so that if we ever do want to contact them more formally and invite them to a meeting, I would be happy to do that.
I think that's
Maybe you could get some pictures of what they've done with the Malibu tiles, just so we could look at them.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, I will, Barry. I'll try to do that.
Now, this thing's going to come with some money. Would it be possible, for example, in terms of the all the proposals for an art center, to create a temporary building on, for example, the chili cook-off site, which would be where we would make a full-scale maquette of this with the stencil art, and we just, it's 2023 is around the corner, and people could walk through it and they would see an exhibit, a temporary exhibit that will be destroyed ultimately. of something we're trying to accomplish. And we would also find out at that point whether anybody wanted to look at stuff on the chili cook-off site. And maybe people would think that was a great idea, and maybe people would rather see it somewhere else or not at all.
That sounds great. That's probably still another question for whomever's managing this grant, and how it can be distributed.
And these outside walls, and as I'm looking at this photograph with the sea in the background, the walls on this side of the tunnel could also be part of whatever we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I commend Caltrans to see if we can do something better than a couple of brown stripes.
I think they're blue, Peter.
Not on my screen.
So do we have any further on that? Can
Let
we?
me get through the rest of this to maybe see if it's, I can answer some of these questions. So,
Can you have someone come next month?
yeah, I apologize too. We were kind of going back and forth, and they were supposed to be here, like I said, but unfortunately.
Well, I think it's good that we got to see it without them first.
In this
Kristen?
scenario, we would be dealing with an artist who not only works with tile ultimately and is able to work with stencil or hire someone to work with stencil, but also is extremely familiar with working with water and rills and drought and flood and everything else, which is what this tunnel is actually about.
Right.
Yeah.
Kristen, can you do the flip side of coming from the beach north? Because there are see those two walls there. I don't know if those are going to be there and whether we need to put art on those as well, or what it's going to be like. So that's why it'd be helpful to know that too.
That's why we need to see the
Yeah.
plans.
I think those stripes are black, Peter.
Can I ask, that's funny. Kristen, may I ask a question? In your photograph of this eroded waterfall, I see there's a stack of stone on the right-hand side of the screen. Is that functional?
No, not at all.
That's just a stack of stone.
Yeah, I think it's just some concrete from somewhere. I don't know where exactly.
Okay, so that's a stack of something on a public beach,
Yes.
just left there. Okay. Would we be able to, if it's not performing a function, would we be able to start by having that removed?
Yeah, Peter wants to repurpose it.
No, I don't. I want to repurpose the space. I don't want to repurpose the concrete.
I mean, I'm sure Caltrans' plan is to redo this entire section.
Yeah.
So not,
Yeah.
like you said, it would be helpful to see the.
Well, actually, in terms of repurpose, just so it's clear, this thing ends with concrete, which, as you can see, has eroded over time or was carved, but it appears to have eroded. There is no reason why that couldn't also be part of this design, that where it becomes this essentially an apron on either side of two retaining walls.
Well,
I
we need to look at what.
I
they're
really
looking at.
suggest
Yeah.
that we go on, we move on if we can, please, and because we can't answer any of these questions unless we see plans and we have
Right.
representatives.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
me
agree.
too.
Okay, can I go? Is it all right? Is that okay, Peter? Can I go? Can we go
One
on?
last question. Are we entitled to access this and physically go there and walk through it?
Sure. That's-
Okay,
Yeah.
Public, it's public.
okay, it's open to the public. I just wanted to make sure.
And Peter, what's just so you know, to orient yourself, it's where the 76 station is at Corral Canyon. And I'm not sure how you enter the tunnel from the roadside. Kristen, or you can always just walk down on the beach from the
Right.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah,
That's
all from the Calamigos thing. You just walk.
Yeah.
just walk down till you come to the culvert and go in.
So you would park at the 76 station and walk down?
Yeah.
No, you could park on the highway and walk down, because there's not really parking at the 76 station.
Which side of the 76 station would you recommend parking on?
Well, there's
East
the
or west?
mountain side. You could park on the beach side, or you could park up Corral Canyon a little bit, because people do that as well. And yeah, and then what I just don't know is how you enter the tunnel, but you can go in through the ocean side by getting onto the beach, and there's a path down to the beach, and then finding the tunnel, which is right there, right around the intersection.
In fact, Peter, if you're not familiar with the area, it's probably better to park on the beach side and just walk down to, as Barry said, to the beach entrance. Then you're not fussing around on the other side of the road.
That's right.
Okay.
And
Thank you very much.
also, Kristen, could you send us all of those photographs that you just had up, please?
They're included
They're in
your
the staff report.
They're on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll bring this back next month with a Caltrans person, and I'll ask them to bring the mock-up of the bridge. Anything else?
Okay. Is there anything more on this, Kristen, or do you want to do
No, we
more
should
slides
move
on
on.
this?
We should move on, like you say, Julia.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Can we? Okay, great. Can we do, there's no new business. How about staff updates?
Yes, I just wanted to let the commission know about upcoming art events. So everything's listed there. Our deadline for our next art exhibit is May 31st. So if you have any artists interested in submitting, please ask them to do that by the end of the month. And art call will be up until about 6 p.m.
Where is the art? How do you get the message out to the artists these days?
I personally just email artists going like, hey, we were sent a flyer that Kristen did, call for artists. I just literally like, who do I know that's an artist? Like, please spread the word, spread the word. And I emailed it and I put all over Facebook. There's just like.
Did you do anything to the Malibu Art Association? Maybe if it went there, they could disseminate it to their members.
We've had
well.
quite a few of their members already submit. So that was
Good.
I
Good.
talked to Barbara Freund last week, and she said that she gave all that information out to their members.
Yeah, if anybody knows anyone, sometimes you think, oh gosh, that person, send it out.
Right.
And it's going to be, right now we have them limited to a medium, so it can be anything really.
And I think we have about 63 submissions, if I remember
Wow.
from yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the next kind of art function happening is at Legacy Park with the Malibu Arts Association on June 5th. That'll be their art show that's doing at the site. So we're excited to continue that partnership. And then Commissioner Jones, I don't know if you want to speak about this, but Ann Buxey is doing summer jubilations. So we're going to have some poetry readings at Legacy Park this summer. This one begins at 5:30, and Commissioner Jones is involved in this program.
I think this could be a really good event. And we're going to, this is Ann's operation. She has agreed to do something which I don't think has ever been done before. My uncle was a theologian named Father Thomas Keating. And his last message to the world, so to speak, was a book which I edited with him called The Secret Embrace, in which he cushioned very large spiritual concepts in poems. He had not written poetry before, except for a poem he wrote in the 3rd grade. And it's completely ecumenical. And so the poems are short. One of them is 3 lines. One of them is just about a page. We're going to have, there are 8 poems in all. We're going to have 8 readers. And each poem is going to be read 8 times. There will be a musical interlude in between each round of poems, and no reader will read the same poem twice, so it will go in a big circle. So that's going to happen at Legacy Park at 5:30.
Sorry.
And one of our readers. And
I think your dog wants to go.
It should take about a half an hour to 40 minutes to read it with the musical interludes. And then there will be 4 other poets who are going to read their own poems. And if it's anything near as good as what she put on last Saturday, it's going to be just terrific.
How do we get the word out? You know, because that sounds like a wonderful event. And I think it comes back to my mantra, which is, you know, publicity and how we get the word out, other than just on the website of the city, which not everybody looks at. Can we put something in the paper? Do we have a budget for that? Or, you know, for any of these shows?
I sent the commission a list of everything we do for marketing. I'm happy to send that again, or.
Would you? Yeah.
Do we have a graphic on it?
I'm sorry?
Do we have a graphic for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So I'll
That
send
would be
it.
nice to send
You
out
know,
email, text, email.
Might I make one suggestion? What if we did one ad in the Malibu Times that said, this is what your Arts Commission is doing, and we list all these events so that people would have, first of all, it would raise our presence. It would also show them we're doing something rather than just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. And it would be with a little description of each thing so people could actually put it on their calendar if they wanted to come.
Yeah, that's a good idea. In lieu of the, just because Kristen did put call for artists. You see there was a big half page or something in there about that.
Yeah,
So
I
maybe
saw
like
that.
every month I have
Yeah.
what's happening in July or what's
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much did that cost, Kristen?
If we go back to the institutional approach, the way all of these institutions are promoting their, I'm going to call it their product, is through banners that hang from lampposts. And I know we aren't going to get that done right away, but boy, even the Fowler put up banners and people went there. So,
well, we've done that before, Peter, I think to good effect, you know, with the lamp posts going up from the Civic Center 4-way intersection up the hill.
I think that would be awesome.
It was really effective. I don't remember right now what it was for, but it was for the Arts Commission, and we did do it. It might have been for the very first concert on the Bluffs.
Yeah.
But it was very effective.
Could we discuss that at some time, Kristen? Like having that maybe instead of the Malibu Times, because that only comes out once a week. But if we had it like every art show or every something, I know that entails making them and hanging them. I know it's, and probably you don't.
Is that Caltrans? Is that Caltrans or?
Yes, it's a Caltrans. It's a lengthy process, I will tell you that. I was involved with the Concert on the Bluffs program that we did up there, as Commissioner Clifford was discussing. So I'll have to do.
Sunset Boulevard is also Caltrans, which is where the banners are.
Yeah, no, it's possible, as Kristen says, it's just a pain in the ass because it's called Caltrans and it takes so long. But if you get going early enough, it is possible to do it. We've done it before.
But that's why we have our schedule. If we knew months in advance, this is what it's going to be like. Anyway.
I would like to just interject something, which is putting together things in the city is complicated. And for this June 8th event, Kristen has made it as smooth as glass. And I personally am very grateful.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. You do so much. But anything that you want us to send out, it's great that when I get a graphic, because I do put it up. I'm not a big social media, like I've done this or that, but I like to throw those kind of public.
question is, does the website for the commission that's you keep, does that have a list of all these things on it, or is it possible that we could have people sign up so that we could do email blasts? In other words, one of the advertisements we do is keep track of what's going on art-wise in Malibu, sign up, and then you can blast them once a month or something like that.
Yeah, we can do that. Similar to like an e-notify that's on the website to get emergencies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be good. That's a good idea. Capture emails.
Yeah.
Does anyone here have contacts with the Malibu Times? I'm just wondering if we should ask them if they would be interested in doing a culture column that would list things for the forthcoming month.
That's a good idea.
Which are not necessarily ours.
It's a good idea, Peter. I had contact with them before, obviously, but not at the present.
Yeah.
Well,
we can all yeah. It's hard to figure out where they're coming from these days, but maybe they would, if nobody has a contact, then maybe a cold call from one or the two of us and say, we'd like to visit you or something.
Yeah, I think they'd be very receptive. I get the sense from I can't remember her name, but the lady who's now publishing it.
Yeah.
I get the sense that she's very open to all sorts of things. I wouldn't be surprised if she would do something pro bono for us to start off with, you know.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Well, if it were a column, then it would be pro bono.
It would be if it was a column, but I was thinking more of a page. Like we were talking about a while back. She might entertain the idea of doing that for free, or at least at a very discounted price.
Yeah. Can one of us contact her, or would you contact her, Graham, or anybody?
I'll contact her if you'd like.
Yeah, then I can too. I mean, it doesn't.
If you can't find, that's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any more staff updates, Kristen? Okay, excellent. Any commissioner reports or comments? Would anyone start?
Yeah, I would.
Can we put on the agenda for maybe next time the Malibu Film Society issues, or at least to talk about it? Because and if we put that on the agenda, I'll try to get some people from the Film Society as to what we can physically do to support them in coming back to Malibu. So that would be one request for an agenda item. And then I guess we might want to put on, I don't know if we put on the agenda item the art share thing, or whether I just take care of it as part of my, as part of Peter's and my ad hoc committee. What would be the best way to do that?
If you want the commission to take any action on art share, then let's make it an agenda item. If you're just providing an update, you can do that during your ad hoc report.
All right, let's put it on. Let's put it on the agenda, and then I will talk to the Chamber of Commerce and see if they want to, present anything, because that allows us to talk to the speakers, right? In other words, unlike the public comment, we can have a dialogue with and if they're cool, then I'll ask you to take it off, but right now, or we can just pass it by.
Okay, if you could just let me know kind of what that action item you're requesting, that would be helpful.
Great.
Okay, is that Barry?
Yeah, I would like to. I think when my internet was going backwards and forwards, which it's just been doing again, I wanted to say that I would also volunteer at the gallery to help out if necessary. And just a small point, but when we're talking about signs at the entrance to City Hall, permanent signs as well as temporary ones in the meantime, I think we should definitely do both entrances, upper and lower.
Yes.
Don't forget the upper entrance,
Right.
Where
Um,
most
and-
people come in, yeah.
Yeah. Also, I recently went to see, and I'm sure probably you've all seen it, the Beatles and Stones photographic exhibition at the Tracy Park Gallery in the Malibu lumber yard. It's really, really good. These photographs have never been seen before. They're large format photographs, like I'm talking about 3 feet across in one instance, and they're really they only cover 2 years, from 62 to 64, very early years of the Beatles and the Stones, and they've just apparently it's been so successful that Tracy has just extended it was supposed to close at the end of April, but it's now running, I think, through around about the middle of June. But everyone should go and see it. It's incredible. And lastly, I just came back from Spain, where I was in Seville and Granada and Madrid and Segovia, looking at art. It was a trip organized by the Santa Barbara Museum of Art, of which I'm a member. And we do several trips a year, and I don't go on all of them, but I came across my now most famous art gallery in the whole world for me, which is the Thyssen-Bornemisza Gallery in Madrid. If anybody is ever in Madrid, you have to go to see this gallery. In my opinion, it beats out the Prado. So, and there's also the Sorolla Gallery, Joaquin Sorolla. I don't know if any of you are familiar with him. Another incredible Spanish artist. So those 3 things, don't miss items in Madrid. That's it.
Great. Okay, Peter, do you have any comments or reports?
I second the view of the Thyssen-Bornemisza Museum.
That's incredible, unbelievable.
And if you're in Madrid, the Reina Sofia Museum also has Guernica by Picasso.
Yes, and I went there and saw that too. I just thought I would leave some of them out.
The Reina Sofia Museum is one of the few museums I've ever been into that when I left it, I was in a very good mood.
Well, I was in Madrid only for a short time, but I went to the Thyssen-Bornemisza 3 times.
Good idea.
Unbelievable museum.
Awesome.
So by the way, the Cincinnati Museum is another good one.
So is the Cleveland.
Okay.
Okay, so we're at future agenda items, which we just covered, right? And now we can be adjourned, right?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
I'm gonna just do a roll call vote because Brittany, I think, is having internet issues. So Commissioner Haldeman, you had the motion. And I'm sorry, who had the second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones had the second. All right.
I'm happy to hear I'm not the only one with internet issues.
Commissioner Haldeman.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Vice Chair Holland.
Yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
all.
very much.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Next time.
Bye.